Donald Trump is one step closer to an election rematch against United States Democratic President Joe Biden, as the former president secured a decisive victory in New Hampshire's first-in-the-nation primary on Tuesday. Within minutes of the state's polling stations closing, U.S. media announced Trump had beaten his Republican rival Nikki Haley by a substantial margin, dealing a powerful blow to her campaign. The final results have not yet been announced, but projections showed Trump with a double-digit lead with about half of the votes counted. The ex-president's resounding victory follows a similarly strong showing in the Iowa caucuses last week, cementing his lead in the race for the Republican presidential nomination ahead of November's general election. No presidential candidate has ever won the first two contests on the presidential race calendar, as Trump has now done, and not emerged as their party's nominee. New Hampshire had been framed as Haley's last best chance to make a dent in Trump's runaway lead. But despite her loss, the former United Nations envoy said in a speech on Tuesday night that she plans to continue her campaign. "This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go," she told a crowd of supporters. "Today, we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up." Though she readily acknowledged her defeat in the New Hampshire primary, she also took aim at Trump's fitness for office and his chances against Biden. "With Donald Trump, Republicans have lost almost every competitive election," she said. "The worst-kept secret in politics is how badly the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump." Trump responded with a fiery speech of his own later in the evening, at his campaign headquarters in Nashua, New Hampshire. The former president accused Haley of claiming a win even in defeat. Who the hell was the imposter who went up on the stage before and claimed a victory? Trump asked. While most of the attention was focused on Tuesday's Republican primary results, President Biden also secured a resounding victory in his party's primary race, despite not appearing on the ballot. Biden did not participate in the New Hampshire contest due to a scheduling spat between state Democrats and the Democratic National Committee, but his supporters launched a successful campaign to urge voters to write the president's name on the ballot anyway. He easily bested two distant Democratic challengers, Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips and author Marianne Williamson, who were on the ballot along with a host of little-known candidates. Despite President Biden's absence from the ballot, Granite Staters still turned out in robust numbers to show their support for the great work that the Biden-Harris administration has done to grow the economy, protect reproductive freedoms, and defend our democracy, the state's Democratic Party chair, Raymond Buckley, said in a statement. Biden's victory also came despite reports of a deepfake robocall targeted at New Hampshire's Democratic residents. Using an imitation of Biden's voice, the call discouraged voters from participating in Tuesday's primary. In a statement after the results were announced, Biden's re-election campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez indicated her attention was now focused on Trump, dismissing Haley's prospects as a Republican contender in the general election. Tonight's results confirm Donald Trump has all but locked up the GOP nomination, and the election-denying, anti-freedom MAGA movement has completed its takeover of the Republican Party, Chavez Rodriguez said. Donald Trump is headed straight into a general election matchup where he'll face the only person to have ever beaten him at the ballot box, Joe Biden, she added. Andrew Smith, a political science professor and president of the University of New Hampshire Survey Center, said the margin of victory in both the Republican and Democratic primaries was more or less what was expected heading into Tuesday. New Hampshire has held the first primary in each U.S. presidential election year since 1920. Experts predicted the state would be markedly more receptive to Haley than other states she would later face, given its strong base of moderate voters. Her next must-win stop will be her home state of South Carolina. Christopher Galdieri, a professor at New Hampshire's St. Anselm College, said Haley made a smart move by using her speech, not so much as a concession but as an opportunity to introduce herself to voters across the country. But Galdieri added it was unclear if that would be enough to keep her campaign going amid Trump's ironclad grip on the Republican Party. Republicans are so wedded to Donald Trump. They have so wrapped up being a good Republican with being a good Trump supporter, that it's just really hard for them to shake out of that. A lot had been made of the importance of independent voters, who in New Hampshire are free to vote in either party. Haley and her backers made a big push for them here. Frank Carpentino, 64, who watched the results come in at the Goat, a bar here in Manchester, is exactly the kind of voter Haley was trying to persuade. He's an independent who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020. He says he was disappointed by both men. As he pays his bill, he admits he is disappointed by this result. He was hoping for a longer night, and even a Haley win. Still, he holds out hope that, while Trump might win, the margin of victory will tighten. It'll be closer. New Hampshire was Nikki Haley's best shot to disrupt Donald Trump's steady march toward the Republican presidential nomination. She came up short, even if she appears to have avoided a predicted Trump blowout. Haley spent tens of millions of dollars here, but the state's independent voters and large proportion of college graduates weren't enough to deliver victory. In a speech to supporters on Tuesday night, Haley said that the race is far from over, pointing to the primary in her home state of South Carolina a month away. To get there, however, she'll need campaign contributions to keep flowing. Despite a better-than-expected finish, that is no guarantee, given that her long odds of winning the nomination just got longer. If she does stay afloat, she may not get a particularly warm homecoming. Trump has the endorsement of most of South Carolina's Republican establishment, and he has a commanding lead in the polls. A drubbing on her old stomping grounds would be an ignominious way to end what has been as relatively successful campaign, a fate she may ultimately choose to avoid. But she has a month to try to turn that around. We've got some more exit polling insights to bring you from our U.S. partners at CBS News, who have projected a Trump win. The data indicates New Hampshire independents have come out in large numbers tonight, both in comparison to typical turnout in the state and to Iowa last week. Many of these independent voters are breaking for Trump's rival, Nikki Haley, by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. But it is important to note that while New Hampshire's electorate is not as conservative as Iowa's, Trump still leads by massive margins with very conservative voters, white evangelicals, those without a college degree, and those who identify as part of the Make America Great Again.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share.